Hey guys, so this is going to be a part 2 of the Commodore 64C that was left out in a field for 10 or 20 years. As you saw in part 1, the motherboard, which is right here on my bench, actually works after, being inundated by debris and dirt and pine needles and ants and water and cold and snow and ice and hot sun and everything else. Magically, this thing still works. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about maybe getting this back into a case and making this a working computer again. First I want to talk about the case. So this is the top and the bottom case from that machine. And the top has actually already been through my RetroBrite box. It looks wet right now because it's soaking in 303. The plastic was very sun-baked and a lot of the oils had left from it, so I'm applying multiple coats of 303, hopefully to get some moisture back into it. So this is the bottom, and it is wrapped in plastic and is covered in the peroxide cream already. As you can see, it's very rusty on that side, but I don't really care about that. And I'm going to put this in the blue box. So we just put the lid completely on. There we go. Alright, so it's time to start thinking about the rust problem I have on this computer. So this is the bottom case. As you can see, this rust, this is from the heat shield or RF shield that rusted and left this horrible residue. I tried cleaning it out. I put some vinegar on here for a while. I soaked the whole thing in vinegar and it made no difference. I put navel jelly for several hours. It's just the tiniest difference, but almost nothing. And the surface here is pretty rough. I was going to try attacking this first before I touch the motherboard, because the motherboard's fragile, and if I do anything rough, it might destroy it. So let's try with this. Someone in the comments recommended I try this stuff, Evaporust. Super safe rust remover, but it says non-toxic, biodegradable, safe on skin and eyes, and reusable. And I watched some videos on this stuff and it seems amazing. It's totally clear color. Doesn't really have a smell. Kind of looks like soapy water. It said it was safe to touch. So I'm not sure about this stuff. I've been soaking this for almost 2 days now, and there's very little change. The color of the liquid has changed to this sort of yellow color, so it's obviously doing something, but I don't know if that's just perhaps leaching out of the case itself. And it's coming off, but the thicker stuff, like the edges, just seems to have had no effect. So I was going to take one of these Scotch-Brite pads and I was going to just rub it lightly. So after soaking in the Evaporust, it worked to some extent, but even after like 2.5 days, there's still quite a lot of this left, but it helped, so it makes it look a little bit better. The back of the motherboard's not so pretty. A lot of this here, this sort of brown stuff, this is that cardboard that got stuck to the board. That'll probably come off if I just soak this. There's definitely a lot of that rust residue though, but I need to take the RF modulator off and the shield. So the cartridge shield's pretty easy. There's some pins you bend here, but I think it's soldered right there, and that should pop off. And then the RF modulator is similar. There's sort of a little bent piece here and here, there. And there's some soldered areas here, and then there's these 8 pins. So I gotta desolder those, and let's just hope they're not too corroded to desolder. I don't know, this is going to be interesting. Alright, well, I got this off. That is one disgusting shield. I think the combination of flux and heat with hot air did the trick, so those are the 2 solder points for the shield. Okay, so I think I got these off. These pins all seem free. Still a bit of a mess. Once I pull it off, I'll do some more cleanup. But the tabs are bent out, but there's 1 and 2 solder points right there. Actually, there's 3 solder points right there I gotta take off to get the RF modulator off the board. Okay, so look at this. RF modulator. Ugh. Oh, look at that. Not great. But these connections do look okay. So that's a good thing. And let's take a look at the RF modulator. That's the bottom cover, which I had already released the pins on. And this is the bottom of the RF modulator, probably where those ants were hanging out. Oh, I just dumped a bunch of rust onto the board. So I think all of this is going to need a good wash right now. Sorry about the noise, my furnace has come on. So I've decided to put the motherboard into the evaporust. And the RF modulator is sitting here as well. It doesn't really go in all the way, but I'm going to see what happens. Sorry, it's a little dark in the corner here, but I have everything soaking, and the motherboard has been soaking in here. And it definitely seems to be having more of an effect on the motherboard. Most of the rust is gone from the bottom of the board, so that's nice. And on the top, a lot of the rust is going away from the edges as well. The chips seem unaffected. And under the RF modulator, there's just so much caked on, it might take days and days. But I think that evaporust seems to work better when the rust is on metal. Okay, I decided to take it out after being in there for a while. There's still some rust left behind, but that's okay. A little patina, as people said. You can see how the copper's still very eaten away. I mean, look at the traces here. Just a huge mess. The back of the board looks much better. A lot less rust. Now the odd thing is the evaporust sort of left this kind of yellow coating on things. And I did scrub it with a toothbrush, but it didn't seem to help. So probably what I'll end up doing is drying this thing out using alcohol, and maybe I'll coat some of the little bits of corrosion with some clear coat. Yep, letting it dry. With the alcohol in there, it dries pretty quick. This is the RF modulator. I soaked this as well, so it's looking a lot better. Still has some patina, which is good, but I think it's not damaged. Should still work. Sadly, the keyboard was too far gone. So this keyboard's actually from another Commodore 64. It was also a rescue computer. It wasn't nearly as bad off as this C64C, but I put this in the dishwasher, just the entire keyboard, and actually that helped clean up a lot. Now, none of the keys ended up working. The problem was the plungers. I actually had to sand down each plunger, and that actually made them work again. I used 1500 grit sandpaper on the plungers. That fixed every single key. Of course, cleaning the PCB with alcohol and whatnot helped. The keys you're seeing here, though, the light-colored beige ones, are the original keys from the field-found computer. I did salvage those. I took them off the original keyboard, cleaned them up with a magic eraser, washed them, and then I retrobrighted them. And I like the two-tone look. Of course, it would be better off if the 2, 4, 9, 0, and pound were also the beige color keys, but those were broken off and long lost. So I might leave it like this just to kind of remind me that those keys were lost. If anyone has any of those keys they would like to donate to me, I would definitely appreciate it. So I know some of you are going to say that it would have been better if I tried to restore the original keyboard. But that original PCB, the contacts were just absolutely shot from having ants inside there for so long. And these keyboards are really flaky as it is. And I feel like it would have been way too much work just to try to make that keyboard work again. Okay, I want to test this out, and I have the RF modulator just connected with these jumper leads before I solder it on. Let's see what happens when we turn this on. Okay. NTSC, good. Oh, it still works. Alright, so there's some ugly line patterns there, but it's probably something to do with this crappy ground connection I have on the RF modulator. Yep, I just touched this clip lead here and it went a little bad. So okay, this computer still is working. Let's reattach the RF modulator. So I'm making some progress here. I have the cartridge shield back on. It's painted with clear nail polish because it will just re-rust again, but it has a nice patina. The RF modulator is back on. It's also painted on the sides with the clear nail polish. Heat sinks are on, VIC-2, PLA. I Got the SID with the heatsink, the CPU. These are getting warm, so I might as well add one to these as well. I used a wire brush on the keyboard connector, and that's working nicely. So the question of whether the RF modulator works or not is yes, it does. And it actually works quite well. There's just a little bit of interference on here, but considering RF is usually not that good, the letters are very sharp and very clear, and there's really no issue with using RF. So this is about as good as it's going to get. So one problem though is that there's no sound. And even though I have the sound turned up on the TV, you don't hear anything. Now what's funny is I notice if I change this channel selector on the back of the Commodore 64, we'll hear the sound for a brief second. Watch this. See, there's the sound playing through for a second. And when I switch it back, we also hear the sound for a second, then it disappears. See? So something's wrong there. Another question was, do the joystick ports work? Well, actually, yes, they do. Let's play some Shinobi here. I'm using a Competition Pro. I'm terrible at this game, but absolutely works perfectly. No issues whatsoever. Ooh, and I just died. So another question I got was, does the cassette input work on this computer? So here's my Commodore dataset connected, and I have an RCA jack on here. I'll make another video where I show how I made this modification. It's very easy, and it allows you to use tapes without having to buy like a Tapduino. So what you do is you take your phone with like a program like Tap Dancer. This is an Android app. I have no idea about iOS. Plug in a cable into the headphone jack that has RCA outputs. Well, in my case it's RCA. And I connect the wire to it like that, and I put the phone down. Type load. Push play on the tape drive. We push play on the program. And in a second it should pop up with the name of the game that we're loading, which you'll see. There it is, Platoon. It should continue loading the game now. And because this is an Ocean software game, we get the color bars in the border that are going, because I think it's using a fast loader. The game still will take a long time to load, but this is a much nicer, friendlier way so you know exactly what's going on. Well, there's the music. So this is a way to pass the time as you wait the 20 minutes or whatever it takes to load the game. How freaking cool is that? You can see the countdown timer is still going. It's at 555. So clearly this takes quite a while to load the game. I won't subject you to that, but clearly we can see that the cassette input on this computer works perfectly. So yet another thing that works after being under all the dirt and anthill for all that time. So this might be a PAL game. Oh, did I just die? Choose your man. Look how the scrolling is jerky on the way back. This could be a PAL game, and maybe it doesn't work properly on NTSC. Okay, does anyone know how to play this game? Because I certainly don't. Aha! Wow. Killed in action, huh? So maybe someone can tell me if this scrolling behavior is normal for this game on an NTSC machine. This is probably a PAL game, and perhaps that's causing this strange jerky scrolling on the way back. Well, what can I say? This computer has real perseverance, and I put a lot of work into it, but it's really rewarding at the same time. This has got to be my favorite Commodore 64 that I own, and I'm definitely keeping this for a long time. In the future, I'll probably put out some videos giving you guys updates just to let you know if this computer works or if it fails. For all I know, this might last another 20 years, so who knows what I'll be doing then, if there'll even be a video. That's it for my Commodore restoration project. Thanks for watching my videos, I really appreciate it. I'd love a thumbs up if you like this video. You know, put your comments and questions down in the comment section below and subscribe for more videos. Take care. Bye.